Hey everybody, what's up? Glad to be here today. Glad to be talking to my friend Kyle Fox and to be chatting with you in the nerdy gritty. Hey, it's fun to be here. Before we really get into things, though, I want to let you guys know that we have some announcements that I want to make. Welcome, hi, a lot of cool stuff going on, though. Really busy week. So I want to hit these announcements before we get into our pre-stream topic here. Number one announcement is welcome. You're
You already
watching
said that.
you're watching the Nerdy Gritty, but the Nerdy Gritty is all part of a larger ministry than Save Point Ministries. Our whole goal here is to tell you how wonderful and loved you are by Jesus, how valued you are in the kingdom of God. And we also know that like an awesome place to really hear about this stuff is within a physical community in a church. So, hey, if you would like to join a church, if you'd like to be part of a physical community that also has your shares nerdy hobbies with you. Hang on, I'm putting a command. There it is. Hey, you can follow that link and find a church. But announcements of what's going on this week. Yesterday we streamed our normal like once a week just for funsies stream. We streamed a new game called The Lost Legends of Redwall, The Scout, and it is a game based in the world of Redwall, like a book series. That's going to be what we're playing on Tuesdays now. But yesterday we played it with the lead developer, like one of the co-owners of the company that made this game, Chris Skaggs, and he and I got to talk about developing game development in general. I geeked out about game dev and animations and all kinds of things like that, and he was perfectly happy to chat about all this stuff. It was so much fun. We had such a good time. That VOD is going to be going up on our YouTube here probably later today. You can go watch that there. We are talking now about live action stuff, but then Friday we are streaming with Andrew Cooper from La Center Church. He is the pastor of ministry, which is an interesting title. I need to ask him what exactly that means because aren't all pastors of ministry? I don't know. I'm looking forward to finding out. Andrew Cooper, pastor of ministry at La Center Church in La Center, Washington. He and I are going to be playing the multiplayer, the new multiplayer version of Vampire Survivors, which I'm excited about. I didn't know there was one, so we're going to be doing that.
Sounds awesome.
But then on top of that, if you are in our Discord, hang on here. Oh, I really need to do something about my keyboard or to get a mod. Hey, anybody want to be a mod? There we go. If you are in a Discord, we are getting back into our weekly Discord Devos. There's going to be a Devo dropping today, and you can check that out in our Discord. We'd love to have you there. Finally, I'm going to be doing a Bible thump for Love Thy Nerd here pretty soon. If you don't know Love Thy Nerd, by the way, they're amazing. They are just an online outreach community to nerds and geeks about Christian culture and whatnot. Just trying to reach out to them. But they have like a weekly, it's kind of like just a short nerdy sermon, and I'm going to be delivering it that this week. So you can go check out Love Thy Nerd and find that. Okay. Those are my announcements. Fox, are you ready for our pre-show conversation?
Yes.
I recently beat Super Mario RPG.
The remake.
The remake. It was spectacular. I loved every second of it.
Sure.
It also was this wonderful revisit to
Your childhood.
my childhood. So my pre-stream question is, what are some highly nostalgic games for you? Like, if you play this game, what would turn you into a 10-year-old again?
What would turn me into a 10-year-old? Oh, man. Okay. So, yeah. So this would be like N64 era for me.
I can say...
You know what?
Go ahead.
I've got them. I've got a couple for sure.
Okay, go with one first. What do you got first?
1080 snowboarding.
Ooh, okay. You played a lot of 1080 snowboarding.
Played a lot and Tony Hawk. I did a lot of extreme sports games when I was super young.
It's weird.
Tony Hawk and 1080 snowboarding were huge for me.
It's weird to me how many X Games sports, like X Sports types games, came out around the N64 PS2 era. All the BMX, the Casey White snowboarding or surfing or whatever.
Yeah, Dave Mira, Matt Hoffman, the BMX.
And then, of course, there was Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk, there were funny, not funny, but stupid rollerblading games. You had, no, you had BMX Triple X, which is always
Which
a
is a
perennial
stupid biking game.
classic.
But there was
Then you
Jet
also
Set
had
Radio.
there was Jet Set Radio.
Future.
Yeah, that wasn't like pure
No.
sport. That was more, yeah. But there was a rollerblade, like a rollerblading game that I played a lot of. But yeah, I played a lot of those kind of extra. I was very much into aggressive inline.
Aggressive inline. That is
Yes.
such a late 90s, early 2000s
Well,
name.
maybe is yeah. This is PS2. This seems to be the right one though.
Aggressive inline.
Yeah, no. If you look at the cover for it, it looks like a Onion joke or a joke from Hard Drive. It's such a like of its time a cover for a game. But yeah, no, I was very much into, I watched the X Games every year. There was a TV channel that was nothing but like surfing and skate, like all those kinds of extreme sports that I watched constantly. So I played a lot of the games too.
I love that so much. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, for me, Mega Man X. The original Mega Man X games are ones that I played. In fact,
the Mega Man X games I also watched on ESPN.
The Mega Man
it's the X games, but everybody has an arm
just an arm cannon, which they're shooting scissors sometimes for some reason. Bubbles. It's weird. But
when you defeat another skater in a head-to-head competition, you get their signature
move, yeah,
and then you can use that to get more points. I just created a new
Tony Hawk
sport.
Did the 900.
That's how he did not invent the 900
that had 360s. That's it. He could do a 360. Then he beat two people that could also.
And then then he needed a 180 after that.
Oh,
it's 900.
Wow. So anyway, but at that time it was also CDs. Like obviously we didn't have streaming music or whatever, and so not only did I have specific games, but there were games that I played and specifically listened to albums while playing that game.
Same.
So with Mega Man X, it was Megadeth's Cryptic Writings. Megadeth's Cryptic Writings.
Wow. What a combo.
The album that I played with Mega Man X. And then the original Tomb Raider was Metallica's Fuel. Had just come out around that time.
Interesting.
I know.
Yeah, another nostalgia game for me that I still like. You can get it on the PS Network still. It's still very playable. Is Rogue Galaxy, which is a very good action RPG. It's very good. Like level 5 is the developer. They're really good. I highly recommend going and getting it. It's very good. But I beat the game and then was doing all the end game stuff, so I didn't actually have to listen to the game. There wasn't any dialogue or anything. So the album for me was City of Evil from Avenged Sevenfold.
Ooh, man. Yes. Oh no. Sorry. We just came up. We have our intro that we just popped up, and I'm still doing prep while trying to also have this conversation, but I got it here. Okay. Man, this is so weird. Anyway, I'm excited for our intro today. Podcast intro. If we go back farther for me, the original Castlevania was one that I watched my older brother and older cousins play a lot of. And it was one of those games where in the original Nintendo era, the majority of games, there were no save state. The Legend of Zelda was the first game that ever had a save state before.
Right. You either had to beat it in one or leave it on, or sometimes you had a password system.
Yeah. And so Castlevania is one that you just had to sit down and beat in one run. No password to get to a level, no save state, anything like that. And it was wildly difficult to the point that you could take a picture of your screen if you beat it, send it into Nintendo Power, and Nintendo Power would put that picture in the magazine with your name underneath it, like name.
What a different time!
I know.
They would just be like, "Yep, must be true."
And we did it. We took again because we have to do physical pictures. This was like you couldn't Google a picture of it, so we took a physical picture of it. And my cousin beat it once while I was watching, sent it in, and there's no. I guess maybe speed running would be the closest feeling to that these days, where you have completed something, you have a proof of it that you present to the world, and everybody can look at that and see your name, where
Yeah.
you are and say like, yes, that guy did that. And it was very cool.
That's awesome.
Well, yeah, any other nostalgic games for you, Fox?
The earliest gaming I ever did would be either it would be Wolfenstein, like Wolfenstein 3D, but watching like playing with somebody else, watching I would go when I lived in New Jersey. This is when I was like 5 years old. We lived next door to his Uncle Dean,
Mm-hmm.
not my actual
Mm-hmm.
uncle, but close family friend. I'd go over to his house while he was getting ready for work way early in the morning, and I'd play Street Fighter 2, and he had the the X-Wing arcade game.
Oh
He
yeah.
had that on Sega, and so I would play those super early while he was getting ready for work.
Man, so many people out there think that our generation is the first one that like we're gaming adults, but I like a big
Yeah.
part of my formative gaming is remembering that my aunt, one of her like 5 husbands or whatever, was a guy who had a ton of games on his computer, and
Yeah.
whenever we went and hung out at their house, I had played Duke Nukem every single time I was
Classic.
there. I
I need to play
I was
Duke
like
Nukem again.
11 years old, but this was like a formative part of my gaming life, is knowing like,
Yep.
oh, this cool grown-up guy loves video games.
Right.
Man. All right, well, hey, should we do a podcast?
I've heard good things about them. Let's try it out.
So hey chat, we are going to be doing a podcast here in just a moment. Let me go ahead. Hang on. Really got to do something about this this keyboard thing.
How about move it?
It's a physical like corded keyboard. I should just get a
Noob.
well, I had a Bluetooth one, but it was starting to go out, and like every 30th letter I typed, it wouldn't take, and it was just getting annoying. So I got a corded one, but I should just get a Bluetooth one. Anyway, so hey, we're going to be going into a podcast here. While we were podcasting, we don't really talk to the chat, interact with the chat, because we like to then put this on YouTube podcasts afterwards so that people can listen to it as an actual podcast. Listening to it later as a podcast, it's weird if we're talking to words you can't see or whatever else. So, but keep putting your comments in the chat as if we are going to be talking to you guys, because we then go back afterward, read through everything, and then just kind of, interact with it and answer your questions or comments on your comments, whatever else. So with that being said, pre-intro, I think it's me today on the Nerdy Gritty. Today on the Nerdy Gritty, what are the pros and cons of... No. Today on the Gritty, do we need live action remakes of classic cartoons?
Sure.
Yeah? Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Here we go. In 3, 2. Today on the Nerdy Gritty, do we need live action remakes of classic cartoons?
One more world disappears inside it. Just another hopeless addict. Well, they makes a man instead. If the drums don't get you, the guitars will.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep into the details of pop culture. I kind of look like Fox, pretty close.
You loved me when I was Dez, but now that people know me as Steve these days, it's not quite as good as you remember.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, you also didn't love me as Dez, though, so that's not... Oh, whatever. Hey, Fox, you and I and our friend Gavin, we played Power World. It didn't quite click with us as much as it
Played
has
a
with
couple
other
of
people.
sessions. Yeah, I did not find it engaging.
I will say that we did not get to any of the actual combat in the game, like the actual doing the dungeons and running like bosses and fighting bosses and things like that.
Sure.
But that's because getting there was just
Right.
not clicking for us.
Like,
So
if you tell me that the engaging thing is 4 hours into the game, then I don't want to spend 4 hours
where
not
we could
having
also
fun.
jump into Deep Rock Galactic and hit this thing and then jump on a ship and go shoot
Immediately
spiders
be
and,
in just having the time of our lives.
and go rock and stone.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you've heard this, but there's been a little bit of controversy with
They look like
Palworlds.
Digimon.
They look like the Digimons.
They all
look
copy
like those
Digimon.
Digimans. Okay. No,
The
no,
digital
no.
monsters.
From the moment this thing was even like considered, Nintendo has been looming over them like the doom of Damocles. Just
Oh yeah, they're just a shadow
just waiting and
haunting
saying,
them.
"Hey, we are trying." And eventually, they have said like, "We have found something. We are going to be taking some sort of action. We don't know what that is. What's
Ooh.
going on?
Cool,
But
a teaser for their next lawsuit.
let's see if that's really a valuable thing." So what's going to happen here is I'm going to name and describe a creature to you, and you have to tell me, is this a pal or a Pokemon?
Oh no, okay,
All
that's
right?
great. Yeah,
Pal
yeah.
or Pokemon?
Yes.
So the first thing I'm going to name to you here
Okay.
is, and here's the struggle, is I've got one on my phone and the other on my computer, and I don't want to like give it away. So I'm literally going to be looking back and forth at both of them, but only describing one of them to you.
Okay, good call. Or just
Okay.
put the phone by the computer.
But then it's far away, and I have old man eyes.
Okay, whatever, man.
No, I could do this, but it's just, anyway. Okay, here we go. Spidops. This is obviously a spider type creature, and it's got 8 legs, but it stands on 4 of them, and then the other 4 are like arms, and it is sort of creating some sort of web. It is green and brown, and
Okay.
and it is called Spidops, and
Spidops.
yeah, Spidops, and it looks mad. It looks like it's gonna fight you if you approach it.
Oh, it looks mad?
Yeah, it looks mad.
That honestly gives me a clue because I don't feel like most new Pokemon look angry, whereas older Pokemon tend to look more angry, and it's just how I think of them in my mind. So I'm going to go with that is a pal.
No, this is Pokemon number 918,
What?
Spidops. Yes.
Spidops?
Yes, it evolves from Tarantula.
Oh, I know Tarantula. Yeah, I've heard of that one, I think.
It looks like a ball of yarn with a spider head
No, wait, I'm
and
thinking of
legs
something
poking
else.
out. Tarantula is super cute. I have not seen this. I'm seeing it now.
Is Tarantula just a weird way of saying tarantula?
I would guess Tarountula, Tarantula.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it literally looks
Spidops.
like a sad little spider got caught in a ball of yarn, and it's like hanging from like.
Aw.
Aw. But Spidops is pretty cool, actually. I'm a fan.
He's an angry
I'm a
man.
fan of Spidops here. Okay, here's the next one. Let me find a good
Okay.
choice here. Okay, how about Cinnamoth? Cinnamoth is
Cinema.
Right, is a grass type. It is obviously, it looks like a moth. It is both, like, it looks like a sunset is what I'll say. It's sort of
Yeah,
orange,
I imagine it's like reddish.
but it also has like some purples and whites in there. It
Oh,
very much looks
okay.
like it's got the color scheme of a sunset or like an Arizona piece of art. If you
Yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean.
yeah. All
Purple,
the art in
yellow,
Arizona.
orange. Yeah. So Cinnamoth, grass type, butterfly looking moth, obviously moth, Cinnamoth.
Are there
type.
type? I mean, I guess I didn't pay attention enough. There's types in Power World too.
I don't know, is there? Maybe that's a clue. Maybe I just gave it away.
No, I'm gonna go with Pal on this one.
That's correct. This is a
Okay.
pal. Yes. Cinnamoth is a B tier pal. They literally list tiers on this.
They have their own tiers.
I guess. It's
Hey,
just-
here's all our garbage.
yeah,
ones.
he's pretty B tier. Oh man. Okay. All right. Are you ready for the
I
next
was feeling
one?
more confident at the start, but the fact that I had no idea about Spidops is that.
Oh
Okay.
man, I'm looking through these newer Pokemon here. How many Pokemon do you think there are now?
I know there's over 1,000. I think like 1,080.
1,025.
Oh, okay.
I thought we
Thought it-
were in the high 800s. I didn't know we had gotten over 1,000.
No, there's
yet.
that whole new set. the whole new expansion or newest game.
It is wild.
It's
Okay,
crazy.
ready?
Yes.
We are now looking at Hangyu. Hangyu.
Thank you.
I guess you could say the G. Hangyu. Also, Hangyu is how Hangyu.
Yeah, that's a weird. It's an interesting
Yes.
name.
It is sort of like a flying ball, and it's got two arms that stick out of the sides of it, but they look like propellers. Propellers that face you, but they're definitely just wide, flat things.
Okay.
Its color scheme is sort of a tan, like a light tan and a darker tan, and then it has like pink cheeks and like the W mouth and like golden eyes.
Okay.
It is a ground type, but man, looking at it, I would want to call
type?
it's a ground type. So maybe it doesn't fly.
I honestly don't know. My guess is because the name sounds kind of threatening. I'm gonna go with Pal, which is the cool, edgy one.
That's correct. It is a PAL.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 for 3, man.
Okay.
Doing well. Hey, I'm proud of you, man. Good work. Okay, are you ready for another one here?
Let's do another. Let's do two more.
Two more. Here we go. We have. Hang on. I'm just gonna pick a rando here. No, I don't want your advertisement.
Advertisement. That's a Pokemon.
Grisbolt. Grisbolt looks like if you were to make.
Can I guess what it looks like?
Yeah,
It's
sure,
an electric bear.
Yeah, it is. It's an electric bear.
That has
correct.
to be an electric bear.
It's electric
which
type.
Sounds interesting to me.
Although it looks more like a cat, I would say. Like it's got maybe bear body, but a cat head. It's a big beefy boy, and it's called Grisbolt. Think like Electabuzz, but if Electabuzz were also a bear cat.
Sure. I'm going to go with Pokemon on that one.
No, that is a PAL, my friend.
Dang it.
Sorry, that is a PAL.
I just wanted it to be a Pokemon because it sounds cool.
I know, right? Not only is it a PAL, but it is the infamous PAL that is holding a chain gun like a minigun.
I feel like a fool now. I've literally seen pictures of this one.
Yes, you have.
Dang it.
All right, last one. Are you ready?
All right, let's see if I'm better, more, either better or worse at this.
I got to pick one here.
How about
Iron Treads? Iron Treads. Yes. He is he looks like, man. He looks like a metal bug, but he's got sort of like this, if you were to lay down the tread of like something on top of him, and the top of it's coming over like an elephant trunk.
Oh,
and so,
cool.
it comes down sort of like an elephant trunk. He's like gray steel colored with red squares on top of him where his sort of top tread thing is.
I'm going to go with...
It looks like he could roll up into a ball and sort of...
Yeah, okay. I'm going to go with a PAL on this one. That name feels like a PAL name.
No, it is a Pokemon, my friend.
What?
Iron Treads is a Pokemon. And
that name is so bad.
Yeah, Iron Treads. They're not even... It's not like the key ring or what's the key thing called?
It's got key in the name, but it's Klefki.
But it's not even like lightly referring like Klefki.
Yeah.
This is literally saying metal wheels, like Iron Treads.
Yeah, this one's got Iron Treads on it. Let's call it Iron Treads.
Yeah, it is one of the newest sets, Paldea, and it is popular enough that it has its own like Pokemon collector's box.
Wow.
Yeah, Iron Treads.
Okay. Yeah, so, I didn't play the new games. I've lost interest in Pokemon pretty much.
So there you go.
I'm bad at this. I'm more bad than good, I guess, is what I'm saying. 60. I got a 40% on that one.
Yeah, that's okay though. Hey, there's a little bit of a reason why Pokemon is looming over this.
Yeah, like, that makes sense.
It really, really does make sense when you look into it. I mean, because at the end of the day, you just have to say, can you copyright an idea in that way? The idea of whimsical monsters with elemental types that you capture.
No, I don't think that's what I think the issue is just how similar. I don't know the details of what the problem is there's plenty of monster catching games, you know.
Because I will say, well, when we were running around playing this game, we would say, "Hey, there's an Eevee over here."
Oh yeah, I don't have any interest in learning more Pokemon name. I'm just gonna call them whatever I already know. You know?
And you see them, and guess what? It's an Eevee. Like
That's an
a
Eevee right
Pikachu.
there. Yeah, 100%. I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, hey, let's talk about something more fun.
Okay.
Kids getting bullied.
Yay!
Yay! Just kidding. It's not fun, but there's been some data that has come out from a couple of a pair of studies by Norwegian researchers. They were conducted by Camilla Knutsen Steins and Clara Julia Reich of Oslo Metropolitan University. It's part of a larger initiative of Norway's government to understand the relationship between children and games. These two studies were looking at their findings show how a child appears in a game can play a, quote, crucial role in how other kids treat them.
Interesting.
Quote, children may experience being called poor if they haven't spent money on their character. Children who have spent money on their in-game character can gain increased attention and other advantages, thus buying popularity.
Man, I don't often point at China and say, I think they got a point though, guys.
Yeah, they're doing it right.
But they have said, hey, kids can't buy things in their games.
They have been extremely tough on those kinds of things.
Like 18 or older, that's it, guys. You can't do the online, like the in-game purchases or whatever.
I don't think China is the only place. I think the UK has I'm fairly certain the UK has deemed like loot boxes as gambling. I mean, that doesn't mean you can't buy stuff. I don't know.
We in the States have idolized capitalism almost to a religion.
Oh, 100%.
And so, like, we're not going to do that. I wish we would, though. Like, I wish we could say, hey, maybe we should stop and think about our ideals and see if they really are working, or maybe we can tweak it just a little bit. Not saying we become socialists. I'm saying, why don't we just take a look and see if this is good for us or not? You know, like...
yeah, I mean, here's some evidence of why it would be a good idea.
Exactly.
We've already seen the problem of social media, and increasingly, games are social media.
Yes.
In which you are not just talking to each other, you are also playing a game, but the social pressures are still taking place. Let's see. Speaking of crossplay, this is a article. I'm reading an article on Kotaku, but this is a report from Crossplay. The pressure to fit in, this is the researchers, quote, the pressure to fit in resembles what is already taking place in other contexts, but takes on new forms. Some children might end up feeling excluded if they lack the resources, like Wi-Fi, gaming equipment, or in-game currency, to play with their friends, or might get picked on based on what, quote, skin they are wearing. Which,
wow, kids getting picked on for what skin they have.
Yeah, interesting.
Oof.
That's not like real life at all. Yeah, I mean that's the worst. Like that's the telling part of this is we've talked about, like, you did a kind of a little like presentation for when we both worked as bus drivers.
Yeah,
you did a presentation for the drivers, basically talking about your interactions and your experience working with kids as a youth pastor,
right? And
like giving them advice and stuff. And part of that is talking about how, hey, things are like objectively harder for children these days.
Yeah.
In large part due to social media. Because if you leave school and go home, you are not exempt from being bullied anymore.
Right. You're not safe.
You feel a pressure to get online and to be on social media. And there's just another place where you can be bullied. Unlike in the 70s, you didn't have the internet. If then there was nobody around you, people could say things about you, but it's not like the public would know about it or you would know about it.
Right.
And so this is just that. Like, this is explaining, hey, there's just more ways for kids to be bullied now. They feel pressured to do these things, and if they can't do them up to the right level or in the right way, then therefore they are poor, or insert whatever other insults you want to add.
Well, and again, and it's measurable, like it's quantifiable, right? Where
yes,
in our day when we were kids, before there was this type of thing going on, if you went to school in old beat up clothes and people said, haha, you're poor because of your clothes. Hey, maybe your mom and dad could take you to Goodwill and pick you out some new clothes or whatever. Maybe you were struggling, or maybe you weren't struggling and you're just like, my mom gives me hand-me-downs, whatever. It could be a mystery. Like, they could say things to you and maybe you could fix that problem. But in a video game, if somebody has everybody knows the price tag is literally hanging from it, a $20 skin, and all your friends have that skin and you do not, they know that you cannot afford a $20 thing. Like, it is a quantifiable, measurable thing that people can point at.
Right,
and that is
right.
so different than what we had.
You don't currently look like Goku, and therefore you're a poor person.
Right. Like, oh man, even the Deadpool skin is only $5 and you can't even afford that. Whoa.
Right.
Like,
Right.
Again, everybody knows, everybody has that measurable, quantifiable thing. I had students when I was a youth pastor who wore a lot of like Abercrombie and things like that, but they said, I only shop at Goodwill though. I get this all secondhand at Goodwill. So they fit in with their friends, but they could hide that they shop at Goodwill. You can't do that in these games. It's crazy.
Yeah, unless you're playing, Team Fortress 2 and you just trade trade hats on the Steam market. But yeah, so there's other results from this. I mean, the skins in the games can create body image problems for people.
Yep.
And also the other big result, the other big finding was, I mean, kids are being scammed, which is not surprising, but now there is demonstrable evidence. There is data backing up this. The researchers suggest that this is because kids lack consumer competence, but are being thrust into situations where they encounter high-pressure sales tactics built around making them feel like they have to act fast or miss out. Fortnite does this. They have, this is available for X amount of time, and once it's gone, it's gone. Yeah. So, hey, video games need to do better. Like, here's some evidence why we need to regulate these things.
Yes.
Because it's not just a like it's actively harming the mental health and social well-being of children. It's not simply a differing opinion on how we should, engage in markets and capitalist methodology. It's harmful. It is harmful to vulnerable people.
Not to mention but we also need to mention the fact that kids will bully other kids, and there's nothing we can do about that. We can try and make it less easy to do so, and we should try and make it less easy to do so. And so I definitely think we need to regulate these things. Absolutely, yes. But also, this isn't a problem we can solve, and that sucks. Like, I just wish there was a way that we could help protect kids, but we can't. Like, it's not possible.
Sure.
Kids are going to bully other kids. They're going to find a way to do it. That sucks. But we could at least make it not as easy. We could at least not throw a literal price tag onto things.
Right.
And
we could make it harder for them to get scammed.
Yes, absolutely.
By billion-dollar companies.
Man. So, yeah, that sucks. Hey, in different, and I'm going to say better news.
Better news. Let's hope so.
Hey, I don't know if you've heard, he's kind of a small sort of indie actor, Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, the beef.
The beef. LaBeouf, is that how you say it? LaBeouf?
No, his last name literally means the beef.
Oh, okay. Got it.
In French, I think.
LaBeouf. I would guess with le in front of it. But, hey, he is in a movie. I don't know if it's come out, because it's not one that I've heard of, but one called Padre Pio. So, Padre Pio.
Yeah, Padre Pio.
Yeah.
Came out in 2022.
In 2022. About like an early Christian father, guy who was eventually made a saint. He was in this movie, and has since then, like, became very curious and interested in the Catholic Church.
I've read about this,
To say that, in the new year, I got an article from Vanity Fair on January 5th, Shia LaBeouf is confirmed into the Catholic Church, reportedly plans to become a deacon.
Man, that'd be real interesting career pivot.
Right? That would be bonkers, but I kind of love this. This is the type of thing where I feel like Scripture can and does speak for itself. And if we can live Scripture, more people will come to faith in a more natural way rather than a lot of like emotional conversions that we get, where we see Shia LaBeouf and he was in a movie about the Catholic Church. It made him study the Catholic Church. It made him research it and get really into it. And eventually he's like, no, guys, I think I believe this. Like, I think this is something I genuinely believe in now. And eventually is confirmed in the Catholic Church. And so if you guys don't know, confirmation is kind of like Catholics baptize as infants. When you are old enough to understand your faith, you go through something called confirmation. Usually it's in your early teen years. It is a big ceremonial thing that
It's another sacrament. Yeah.
yeah, sacrament that they go through. And so it's kind of like their way of saying you are old enough to decide now.
Right. Right.
So this is him basically his public declaration saying, yes, this is my faith. I believe in this. And wants to become a deacon now, which is really, really awesome. Just to see somebody naturally go through that study of a faith and then decide they believe in it, again, really just gives me hope and fills my heart and makes me want to say, hey, Christians, maybe we should focus more on just living out the word and letting the word speak for itself. Kind of like kind of like it says.
Sure, I guess. I mean, that sounds crazy to me, but I'll think about it.
We need to legislate it in every way possible and force people to agree what we believe
Let's
in.
move on. Let's move on before this is the whole podcast.
I touched a button with Fox here.
No, we should watch that for God and Country movie and then do a podcast about that.
Which is that which one is that?
The Rob Reiner.
It is that one. Yes, I wholeheartedly agree. We should.
Yeah, let's plan on doing that soon. But
when does that drop?
It's already out.
Where do we see it?
I think it was in theaters limitedly. I think we can just find it online somewhere. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Do that next time.
Yeah, let's plan on doing that.
I love that. Okay, cool. Hey, should we get down to the nerdy gritty?
That sounds good.
So, hey guys, maybe you've heard of a little show called Avatar: The Last Airbender.
With the blue people and the flying on the dragons.
How dare you?
They bend the air when they fly on the dragons.
Oh, okay, never mind. That does make sense. You got it.
Yeah. And the bison.
And then maybe you have heard of the fact that there is a live action remake that is currently on Netflix.
Mm-hmm. M. Night Shyamalan did it again. Good stuff.
Oof. We're not talking about that one. Hey, look at me right now. We're not talking about that one.
Doesn't exist.
We don't talk about that one. I saw that one way later. It's just not a good movie. Like,
I went to regardless of your feeling, it's just a bad movie.
It's not a good film.
Regardless of how you feel about the cartoon, the movie is bad. Yeah, that was a back when they did midnight showings. That was a midnight showing for me. I was extremely disappointed.
Man. Okay, but with that being said, we are seeing a lot more examples of beloved cartoons or childhood type things getting these live action remakes that aren't gritty. You know, like they did gritty for a little while. There are more of like hey, what if we just sort of remade this with a similar tone, but geared more towards 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds,
not with the same exact tone of a cartoon. Right. For
exactly. So there's been like this one with Avatar: The Last Airbender. There's been a lot of anime remakes, like One Piece and what's Death Note. Was that there was
a movie.
But whatever it is, there's been a lot of these
there's been lots of anime live action anime adaptations on Netflix for sure.
So we have been considering this, and then with a lot of the reception of Avatar: Last Airbender being sort of all over the map, there's been people who love it, people who hate it, and you know, there are things that I watched the whole thing now. I'm going to talk about it later. There are things that I love, and things that I dislike about it as well. So with that being said, we want to talk about this whole mindset, this idea of remaking a beloved old thing with the target demographic being the people who watched it when they were kids. And we want to talk about why do this? Is it worth it? What do we lose when we do this? How can we do it better? Overall, what are our thoughts on this with sort of Atla being our launching point? So Fox, well, first of all, let me ask you, what is your experience with this? What are some of these things that you have seen or watched or that you know?
I have not watched many of them as far as like the, Netflix adaptation type things. I mean, there's other places, obviously. You have a lot of like Disney movie,
Right.
animated to live action, things like that. But I don't watch a lot. I watched some of, I don't even have Netflix anymore, so I haven't watched any of
Atla.
Airbender. But I watched some of Cowboy Bebop. I watched the first episode of One Piece. I don't really like One Piece in the first place, so I wasn't surprised that it wasn't really my jam. I generally am not like super interested in them. Uh, Simply because this is something we can talk about, what we will talk about. I don't really see the point if you're doing a one for one. If I learn later, oh no, they changed things up and went in a different direction, that gives me, I'm more interested in that. But if it's just the same thing again, generally not going to be interested in. Most times when it comes to like an anime, adaptation, it's generally just kind of the same thing again. That's for sure was Cowboy Bebop. It's like,
Yeah.
I've already watched this. Why do I need to watch this again? I already saw this. This just has a real person instead of,
So as
Spike.
far as I know, I was within the first target demographic for this, because the earliest versions I can think of this are Transformers, the Transformers movie, and that was my childhood show, that and G.I. Joe, which also got its later remake, and so I remember watching the first Transformers movie and thinking to myself, that was awesome. I loved this. This was super cool. Here's like my childhood thing coming back. And as I look back on it, I don't think I'm wrong, because it was a pretty solid representation of, these are robots that talk and fight each other and shoot lasers, and there are big explosions.
There's certainly robots in disguise. You cannot cannot dispute that.
You look at it and you think it's one thing, but it's more than meets the eye.
Yes, it's true.
So the first one, I think, really communicates exactly that very, very well. And then they tried to build on that. And I watched the second one, and with the same attitude of the first one, enjoying the first one, thinking it was a fun adaptation of it. I watched the second one and left the theater thinking that was stupid, and I disliked it. That was a bad movie.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. We're going to be talking about, obviously, subjective opinions based on what if you liked it originally, if you like a different one, your humor style. Yeah, visually it looked very, it felt like a live action. I mean, it's funny to talk about a Transformer as a live action remake, because it's like saying the live action Lion King remake. No, that's just a different type of animation. But it's very similar visually, at least updated. It's got these robots that transform into things. It's got some human characters, all that jazz. But tonally, it's a pretty big shift.
Right.
It has the humor style that is common in Michael Bay movies, which is pretty puerile and seems to be much younger than he is as far as the humor style goes, which is kind of sad. But yeah, so I mean, there have been live action remakes of cartoons that are older than Transformers. You have like Addams Family.
Right.
You have like there's always been remakes of older things.
Addams Family was live action though.
I guess the original was. Yeah. That's true. But anyway, sure, that's fair. You have the Alvin and the Chipmunks. I'm looking at a little list right here.
Scooby-Doo got the Scooby-Doo remakes were. See, what I think
Scooby-Doo live action was incredible. Though,
so again, that's what I'm saying. What I think about some of these earlier ones, though, is they went to the heart of the show and just said, how can we capture this? But it was different for those ones compared to these newer ones, because this was at a time in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s when a cartoon was meant to present something and in 22 minutes completely solve and complete that thing. Yes. If things went bonkers, it would take 2 episodes to solve
yes,
it.
Yeah, a 2-parter would be the finale to the season.
But other than that, you could distill these characters. The characters didn't need to grow. They didn't need to change. They didn't need to do anything but be these archetypal versions of themselves. And to then distill that into a 90-minute movie was much easier. You got to have Shaggy and Scooby be goofy and fun. Matthew Lillard gets to ham it up in such a wonderful way.
Oh, excellent.
Freddie Prinze Jr. being this clueless,
Perfect cast. Maybe the most perfectly cast movie of all time.
It was so great, right? The Scooby Doo things. You got to have the Transformer, the original at least, just be big robots fighting each other. The same reason why Pacific Rim was such a fun movie. It was just big robots fighting big monsters. You know, like in these ways, you got to distill the essence of these things, which is why, to kind of like transition here, I think we're struggling more with it these days, because as we get into the target demographic of the older cartoons, these older cartoons are now from the early aughts, maybe going into the late aughts, when we had evolved in our youthful storytelling.
Yes. Telling
a story to a child, we realized, wait, they're still going to buy our toys. They're still going to like our stuff, but adults are going to like it too if we also put in a good story.
Yes.
And that's where we get, obviously, the rise in popularity of anime from these used to just be called Japanimation, because it was almost exclusively popular in Japan with some fringe people across the world liking it. But now it's worldwide phenomena easily. And then things like Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra being these American versions of just good storytelling, just genuinely good storytelling with some silly moments, but it's good storytelling within a cartoon. So to kind of bring this into today, you say you're not a fan of it. What is it that falls short for you, and why do you struggle with the live action remakes of these things?
Well, yeah, like I said, I mean, the first thing is, if you're just doing the same thing again, I've already watched Airbender. Love it, already watched it. I'm not sure what the characters being actual humans brings to the table. Because it was it can. I'm not saying it can't, but I think it takes something really special, to make it more worthwhile, worthwhile to watch again, which means it's going to be different. Because if it's bringing something different, then it's, so that, but also there's just, I don't know. I struggle with, there's so many things that have to intersect when it comes to remaking the show. When it comes to like Airbender, you have the original show, the original story, the original thing. That exists already. People love it. So you have to tackle creating that show in a new way, or in a live action format that carries on like what people love about it, but you're limited by budget. You're limited by time. The Airbender was, 20 plus episodes per season. And now instead it's 8 episodes that are, longer, but still you have a shorter amount of time to tell the story. You have when we are talking about animation, you have like animation, you literally can make characters do anything. Right. Like you are not limited by human ability. And you can use CGI in a live action thing, but if it's supposed to be a person moving, the human eye will say that didn't look like a real person moving, right. Which you are more than willing to excuse if it's Aang and the Aang gang in the animated version.
Gang?
The gang. There's 2 A's in there.
Though. Right. You got like
it's gang.
The gang. Yeah.
The gang.
Yeah. At one point, Aang went into Avatar mode, and I told my kids, now he's angry, and they're like, yeah. I'm like, no, he's angry. They're like, why are you saying it like that? Angry. Oh.
so yeah, you're limited by it's. I mean, do you remember in the? We're going to talk about the M. Night Shyamalan here. Just forewarning a little bit.
Why?
Do you remember how in the cartoon, all of the bending was done through martial arts, and It was taken from real life martial arts styles that each kind of mimicked how the different elements would work. So you had the earthbenders using a more like stronger, powerful thing.
That was the Wushin
things like that. And then you watched them do bending in the movie, and you're like, this does not feel the same. Are they actually doing the same thing? Basically, they're still manipulating elements through martial arts movements, but it does not feel the same, because it did not have the same style. And that is just true for basic human movement at the same time. If somebody is moving around in combat and it's animated, it can look however you want it. They can move in inhuman ways, but because it's moving faster than your eye can see, it's fine. And you know they're not real, it's fine. That is not true for actual people. Actual people move in a specific way, and it's not going to like read well as, when they are actual humans. And so you have to figure out how to deal with that. Are you going to slow it down, make it less, whatever? There's just so many elements that have to, you have to figure out who your audience is. And I think a problem with Netflix is that they're trying to we need everybody to watch this, but so then how do you write that show? Instead of saying, well, this is for 12-year-olds or 9-year-olds that also their parents might enjoy because we do really care about the story. You're trying to get the people who used to love it, used to watch the show 15, 20 years ago, because they're a huge audience, because they're going to want to watch this maybe, but also you're going to want newer viewers, that kind of thing. You're just trying to justify the price tag by getting as many viewers as possible, which means your tone might shift all around. I'm theorizing, but I haven't watched this show. But your tone might shift all around because, if you're trying to get multiple people and it's just nothing but a gritty, reboot, then 12-year-olds can't watch it because it's surprisingly violent or whatever.
Right.
So, I don't know. There's just so many elements, and I've very rarely seen something that actually is able to pull it off, because it always seems like it's trying to do as little as do as much as possible with a small budget and please as many people as possible, which just ends up being, it's like mixing all the colors up. It just becomes dirty, gross gray, and doesn't actually feel as vibrant as red and green and yellow should.
And I wholeheartedly agree. And especially with the whole trying to set a tone, because like you're saying, when it's a cartoon, you can draw whatever very extreme facial expressions you want.
Yeah.
You can.
Sokka is the most, and has the most animated expressions ever.
Right. But if you are a human being and they're telling you want to go from delightful, joke to sudden introspection, you can't make your face do that and make it seem natural at the same time. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Even the little subtle things like that, you really struggle with. And so being able to communicate those types of things becomes a struggle. But on the other hand, and here's where I think there's some value to it, and why I like trying to watch and giving them a chance, is for most people, you're not going to identify with an animated face as much as you're going to identify with a live action face. You're not going to empathize with an animated character to the extent that you're going to empathize with a live action character. That's just human psychology. That's not true for everybody, but that's going to be generally true in the middle. And there's also going to be people who cannot empathize or identify with animated characters, who to them, they just, for whatever reason, they cannot take animation seriously at all. And so now you're presenting this thing in a way that can communicate to those people, as well as bring an entirely new genre of feelings and emotions with this beloved IP in a way that people have never experienced it before, with a real life person that they can look at and see their facial expressions in a way that a real human face will do it. Not to mention the fact that being able to hear it in unexaggerated ways, instead of the exaggerated facial emotions or voices that voice actors and animators can produce, being able to hear this in a natural context absolutely changes the way that you're experiencing it. And some moments become more important, or differently important, I should say. So, like, for example, in the live action Avatar: The Last Airbender, and the things that you can do. Iroh is talking to Zuko and just having a conversation with him about how he is valid without his dad's approval. That he is valued. He doesn't just need his dad's approval. And in the background, you hear the plucking of leaves from the vine going on.
Oh, okay.
They never do Leaves from the Vine in this season of the show, because obviously that's second season in the anime. But in this, if you have watched the original and you are now seeing this moment, it is able to tie together this whole thing. You get this, you're pulled in this heart of Iroh of seeing Zuko as a surrogate son, knowing that he lost his son. And you see that heart just because you can hear that playing in the background. And you just see the slightest twitch in the actor's eyebrows upward of some sadness. And you get the fullness of that because you know the whole story. These are things that you can't do as successfully just going to watch the original again or whatever else. And so having these sort of moments in there are amazing. And then being able to feel that again as a father, as somebody who is a dad. And such beautiful, incredible moments that you can't get just from those animated, going back and watching the original animated versions.
That is nice if you have already watched the show.
Right.
If I hadn't watched the show and then I'd just say, oh, that music was nice, but would have no emotional connection, which isn't a bad thing. That's actually, I think, good. Right. A good way to do fan service, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't actually take away anything if you haven't, if you don't know about it.
Absolutely, yes. Again, I wouldn't say that's negative in any way, just different. And on top of this, with like the One Piece live action version, it has been wonderful for me as a viewer. There's, I think, 1,100 episodes of the original
One Piece is ridiculously long, yes.
I'm not going to watch them. Hard statement. I am not going to watch those. Yeah. If somebody tells me your anime has 100 episodes, I'm not going to watch it.
No, thank you.
Tell me it has 15 to 20 and I'll get there. But 1,100, it's never, ever, ever going to happen. But I like the live action one. That's been fun. I think the 8 episodes went over like 50 episodes of the anime or something like that.
Sure.
And that's great. I love that. That's been super fun. It balances its humor really well. There are moments that seem really dumb, like when a guy dressed like a clown but also a pirate says "chop chop" and then his arms come off. And
Dougie the clown is ridiculous.
And it's the dumbest thing. But you don't take any. But he's also fighting a guy made out of rubber, basically. So you're willing to take it seriously, and it's fun and it's wonderful, and I love it. So being able to see these things, in whether you've never seen them before or to re-experience them again, I do think there's value to it if you do it right, and that's really the big struggle here. So here's where I want to transition to now is, how do we do this right? What's the right way to do this?
I think it entirely comes down to character. I think that's the most important thing to me. I am of the opinion that I am perfectly fine, perfectly glad. Support even would prefer it even if changing the story or whatever would better suit this a new medium. If you are simply doing a 1-for-1 remake, I don't really see the problem. I don't really see the point of it. We've already seen that. If something needs to be changed for it to work better, then please do that. Please make a better thing.
Right.
Or if you have an idea that we talked about Scott Pilgrim, the newer Scott Pilgrim adaptation, the animated one, that changes and recontextualizes the original show and original
it's
manga. It's
basically a brand new story, yeah.
Right. But it's with the same basic ideas and characters.
Right.
But it takes the idea and makes you look at it in a different way and gives you a different perspective. And I think that's an excellent reason to remake something. Is let's take this thing that is beloved and then say, well, what if we should think about this, though. Let's recontextualize this idea and make you think, well, maybe actually Scott Pilgrim wasn't a very good person. Actually, the way he treated people, which was addressed a little bit in the movie, but not to the extent. He's still the heroic, good guy at the end of the movie. Maybe he still is at the end of the the animated show, but like I would love if that's really what gets me interested in, like, oh, you're trying to do something interesting here, different here, and I would love to see that. And I think that we have to, in order for something to be good, we have to be okay with it, with killing our darlings.
Mm-hmm.
It's a phrase in writing, is killing your
Right,
darlings. You
right.
can't be so attached to something that getting rid of it would be a problem. If you love it, if you're writing a story and writing killing off a character actually makes the most sense, then you need to probably be able to do that, because if not, if you just give them plot armor because you love them, then it's going to feel dishonest and it's going to feel whatever. And if we are watching a show with the same mindset of if they change anything, then it's bad, then we are not allowing the writing to be. We are not allowing a show to do something, to tell us something.
Right.
And if that were the case, we wouldn't want to watch anything new.
And it's so hard too, because Disney's a great example of this, where they came out with the live action. What was the first one they did? Was it Beauty and the Beast?
I think Cinderella.
Well, that was yeah. But I mean, among the Cinderella, they did a live action of, and then like 8 years later, they did Beauty and the Beast, and then kept coming out with more pretty much annually.
No, was that much difference? I'm talking about the Cinderella that had. It was anyway. Okay, sure.
Maybe
Beauty and the Beast was pretty early on. Yeah.
Whatever it was, I remember they made the first one, and people said it was too different, and so then they did the live action Lion King, and they pretty much did it shot for shot.
Right.
And everyone said it was too similar. And there has to be a balance in there where you are staying true to the heart and the message, but also you are making this for fans. You are not making an original piece of things that you expect people to have no attachment to. You have to admit we're making this for fans. And so we have to honor the fans in this way or it will fail. You have to. Whether you like it or not, you have to.
No, I don't think you do. I really don't think you do. Because to say we're making this for fans and then make a crappy movie is a pretty big insult to those fans.
Well, that's what I mean, is you have to find that balance.
Right. Well, no, I actually don't. I don't agree. Do something completely different. Use the same characters, throw them in the trash, whatever you want to do. Use them completely different. If a fan wants to watch the movie they've already seen, they can go watch the movie they've already seen.
But if you're doing something completely different, why remake that thing at all?
No, what I'm saying is like a Scott Pilgrim, where you're just telling
Right.
a different story using the basic ideas.
No,
yes,
yes.
I'm also for going and making something completely original. That's also
Please
a
do
great
that.
idea.
Yes, please.
Sure, whatever. I don't care. I also think doing something with the same characters that's different can be equally as good. I don't think there's inherently more value to either one. At the end of the day, you're telling a story for people to connect with. It's not about the hair color or eye color or height or whatever of a character. It's about the emotion that they express, the problem they overcome, and how we connect to them. And so if that person is somebody we know from a previous movie or somebody we've never seen before, it's equally valid that we can connect to them again.
I absolutely agree. Yes. I'm not saying that we have to do the fan service in as much as you have to obey exactly what it was before. I mean, you have to communicate the same heart and the same characters in a way that the fans feel that their original thing. So here's another one. It's not a live action remake. It is an animated adaptation of a comic book, and it's the Hush comic book.
Oh, sure.
And the animated version, Hush, the actual character Tommy Owlett Hush.
It's a Batman storyline, by the way.
Right, yeah, Batman. The actual character Hush dies. Actually dies about halfway through the story.
The person called Hush in the
right.
comic book. Yeah.
And you're like, wait, what? And in the comic book, that doesn't happen.
No.
But in this, it does, and things change, and it ends up being a similar mystery with similar issues that present similar struggles for Bruce Wayne Batman, but with an entirely different second half. And so I think that is great. It honored the original heart and goal of the original source, but changed it up in a way that kept it interesting and unique and whatnot. Overall, though, I think that kind of like you're saying, it's more important to make something good than make fan service.
Yes.
That has to be, make something good. That has to be the most important thing.
Sure. And I would love it if more people were willing to just like allow like good to encompass different.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't watch the Velma show, but I knew a lot of people on the internet, which is, of course, it's the internet. It's internet mentality. didn't like it because characters were different. They had different races and different things like that. And at the end of the day, why? Who cares? Like, why? It feels like a really weird thing to be so up in arms about the skin color of a character. I'm not even talking from a racism standpoint. I'm talking from like, why is that the thing you care about so much? Like,
yes.
what is that? Why is that
literally
matter?
why
Like,
is that important?
that has nothing to do with the show. With Scooby Doo isn't beloved because Daphne or Velma is white.
Right.
Like nobody. I mean, maybe subconsciously people like it more because of that, but like I don't know. It's just, hey, at the end of the day, if you didn't like it, you didn't like it. That's okay.
I mean, I'll even say
it's
that
okay.
some people in the live action Avatar: Last Airbender have makeup on, prosthetics and wigs and whatnot to make them look a lot like the animated characters, and I'm like, hey, you can tell those are prostheses. They don't look real.
Yeah, there's another issue. Is just sometimes it just looks like cosplay.
Yes.
Not to decry cosplay. I'm just saying it doesn't. It feels wrong. It feels like it's not. Nobody believes that cosplayers are the people that they're supposed, dressing up as. Whereas that's what we're supposed to believe in this, suspension of disbelief. And so I'd rather them look slightly different, but also just have more natural looking hair or something. It's like, what's his name from the Dragon Ball Evolution movie? Like when we don't need him to have the weird spiky hair. He didn't have full Goku hair, but they like gave him spiky hair at one point. And you're like, what was the point of that? That changed nothing about this. It just looks stuper. So
which is saying a lot for Dragon Ball Evolution because it's all
that was a terrible,
really
terrible
stupid.
movie. It was shockingly bad. But I do think like
Goku's white. Why is Goku white?
Anyway. Yes. We did start talking about this after we looked at an article about filler episodes.
Right.
The article was talking about like how the show, the Atlas show, is live action is so condensed. It takes out a lot of what is considered filler from the animated.
Right.
Which definition wise, filler is spongy, but essentially when something doesn't actually progress the plot. An episode of it's just kind of a side adventure or whatever, and then you get back to the main adventure.
Like an example in Avatar would be when they have to guide the two tribes of people through the canyon and they hate each other.
Oh, yeah. I remember liking that one. But
it's a great episode. It is a filler episode. It does not,
but it's not actually the plot.
Yeah,
right. And so this article talks about how the benefit of filler is, maybe it's not actually plot related, but it gives you time to anticipate what's coming next. Even from production standpoints, it gives you time to gives the production time, to figure out what's next, that kind of thing. If it's, that's an old style of animation, but like the condensing that is required when you create one of these live action things, both budgetary and just time wise, works to the negative. Like it does not help the show because it feels like there are things missing, even if they weren't important, quote unquote, to the story. And B, it just means all of the important stuff comes so much faster and furiouser that it doesn't feel like
the pacing.
The pacing is yes, pacing. It's the right word. Pacing takes a hit because it just has to get in what it feels like are the most important story beats, rather than allowing those things to happen what feels like in a more natural progression. And that, I would like it if they spent more time, if they do the same amount of episodes, but only go halfway through the first season and allow these characters to spend more time in doing things that aren't necessarily plot progressive, but tell you more about who they are, maybe, or whatever, fill out the word a little bit, whatever. It's not always the right thing to do, but it could be. And sometimes if you don't, it is to the detriment of the show.
Yeah, I think that's what would be a wise thing to do in this type of case is pin every episode on the wall and say, what did this contribute to the overall show?
You know what? Honestly, they probably did that.
But so again, going back to that exact same one, what I think is a really valuable part of that is, number one, Sokka and Katara both ended up siding with their side. It showed that it kind of reemphasized these are children that are going to be swayed by adults. That's something that's going to happen. And then number two, that Aang was willing to straight up lie to these folk to help them get along.
Sure.
And it was a character growth thing on his part.
Yeah, it tells you about their morality and their, yeah.
Right. And so there were some things in that episode, even though overall it contributed nothing to the overall plot, that helped grow and show the characters in this way. The way that they've grown the characters in this series is exclusively trials and tribulation. None of it is just letting them have fun, be kids, be goofy, and also learn some stuff about them while they're being fun and goofy kids. That's something that the animated show, the cartoon, did wonderfully. Let them be kids and let them have fun being kids and let them grow, because Toph is picking on Aang and it's funny to watch. And but also then you realize, hey, sometimes she goes too far, and you realize that she has some real character flaws that she needs to work through. And so let them have these moments, let them be these things in the live action version as well. If you cut that fluff, make sure you still take the heart of it and the lessons they learned and put it somewhere
some of the
else.
brilliance of Last Airbender was the levity is not only fun to watch, it also adds more gravity to the down moments.
Yes.
When you have those highs of like Aang doing these fun, goofy things and whatever, and then something terrible happens, and like it shows you character change, because hey, Aang doesn't really play around like he used to, and it also lends just tonally. It just hits you harder when something bad happens, you know. And so you have to have those highs and lows. I mean, it's just pacing and tone.
Yeah.
And I really don't want to, like, I'm sure the developers of the live action show did all these things and thought about these things. They're not just like, I mean, clearly they wrote a show. They're not idiots, I'm guessing. It just, it seems like I would imagine that the bigger hassle was just the limitations placed upon them by the development. Like, here's your budget. Here's how, we've done market research, and 8 episodes is just the right amount for people to watch and still remain interested. And, and here's our demographics. And I would imagine that the higher ups, the suits, the market research people are probably more the ones to blame, because they're not interested necessarily in the creative side of it as much as is necessary for a show to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. A show to be successful is not the same as a show to be good sometimes. And when you pursue success, you're going to maybe lack in the creativity side, which leads to its quality. And I don't know, it's a shame, but also at the end of the day, hey, the animated version still exists and we can still love it.
Yep.
Nothing is taken away by a bad show existing.
That's true.
I'm not even saying the show is bad. I'm just saying they didn't take away the animated version because of this one.
All right. Hey, final thoughts?
Don't you watch something new instead. If you don't like this, then watch something different. You don't feel obligated to watch it because of brand loyalty. Just try something else out.
Disagree. If you love something, you must watch every minute.
You have
of
to.
it. Otherwise,
I
you
like
don't love
Star
it.
Wars, so I have to consume all Star Wars.
Yes.
I have
Otherwise,
to be a
clearly
good,
you don't love it
loyal
enough.
customer and give them my money for everything they produce.
Otherwise, you don't love it enough. You're a poser. How dare you? No. My final thoughts overall is begin with saying what is going to be the validity of remaking this. Like, what is going to be the benefit? What good thing are you bringing?
What are you bringing to the table? Yeah.
Right. And then honor it. You don't have to copy it. You don't have to perfect it. You don't have to do anything to it. You have to honor it. And I think that's going to be the important part. And I think that's a lot of things that people overlook is honor everything about it. Honor the characters, but you don't have to be perfect to it. You don't have to, resemble it perfectly or whatever. So,
it doesn't have to be a 1-for-1.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, with that being said, we're going to move on here. Fox, what have you been up to, my friend?
I started watching a show last night. Only watched 1 episode, but I'm going to talk about it anyway, called Shogun, which is on Hulu. It's, got a lot of, it's rave reviews. That's why I wanted to watch, generally just look and see what other reviews are. It's based on a book from the 70s, but it's very Game of Thronesy in its delivery style. It's multiple story threads. I mean, most shows have that, but multiple story threads, lots of characters, very political intrigue, and different strategizing of how to be in power. And so the actual plot of the show is a ship. A ship. It's a 1600. I think the year 1600. A ship crashes into the shore in Japan. It's carrying Englishmen, and they have a whole thing going on. The main plot thrust is one of the lords that the ruler died. There are now his heir was too young to take power. So now there are 5 different regents, 5 different lords that are basically vying for power and trying to, jockey one another for support and all that. And it's very Game of Thrones, where you are watching all these different threads and all these different character motivations, and you root for some of them, and you root, and it was very, like, I just watched the pilot, not pilot, they don't have pilots anymore, but the very first episode, and it was like, I'm very much interested in continuing the show. It was really well produced, and it also is Game of Thrones, where there's some action. I mean, there's very little in the first episode, but it's really just about character drama and character, development, and seeing how they interact with each other, and just keeping you engaged without needing to be visceral or violent.
Yeah. I finished, as I said before, the Avatar: The Last Airbender live action remake. Finished the first season of it. To kind of get more specific about this, rather than just live action remakes overall, this one is good. I enjoyed it. It's worth the watch. I sent you something, Fox, after about 3 episodes that was, I love everything about this. The costuming is beautiful. The writing is great. A ton of really great quips, but at the same time, some really written dialogue that carries a lot of gravity to it. The cinematography and directing is really, really well done. It's all great. Oh, except for the acting. The acting is real, real bad. And that is pretty much true across the board, disappointingly so. I think that the best actor in the whole thing is not Daniel Day-Lewis.
Who plays Aang?
Who plays Aang. Dang it, what is his name? He was in...
The true method actor. He went back in time, and he's now that 10-year-old boy again.
No, actually, he's a 50, 60-year-old man with his head shaved, and...
the best acting Uncle Iroh.
Daniel Day Kim. Daniel Day Kim from Lost is...
the Emperor.
Yes, he's Ozai, and he's easily, by a large margin, the best actor in the show. And even then, he's not a bad actor by any means, but he's not known for his acting chops. People don't think of who's a good actor. Oh, Daniel Day Kim for sure.
He's fine. He's
right?
Lost.
Exactly. He's fine, and he is by far the best actor in this show. And so, yeah. So it's tough. I want to say it's what happens when you get child actors, but it's everybody.
It's not just the children.
It's legit everybody. And in my heartbreaking opinion, the most egregious of this is Iroh. Iroh is very robotic, very monotone, and
disappointing.
Really disappointing, because he's my favorite character in the show.
He was great in Kim's Convenience.
He's my favorite part of the show. He's one of my favorite fictional characters ever. When people say, who is a fictional character that most describes you, Iroh is my go-to. I want it to be Batman or Harry Dresden or something, but that's lying. It's Iroh. Somebody who just loves other people, wants to serve them, and would love to pour them a cup of tea. Like, that's and just loves life, and life's good, and loves eating, and loves drinking good tea.
Also, you're super ripped.
Yes, and I'm also jacked.
Jacked in a martial arts mask.
Yes. These are all true. So, but if you can take the acting aside and just listen to the dialogue, get the heart of what the dialogue is trying to say, or if you just accept, the acting's not great. It's a great series. It really is enjoyable. It's a lot of fun. It's tough sometimes.
Yeah.
Aang is also not a great actor. He's also, I think, actually 11 or 12 years old or whatever. But
so they took some inspiration from the M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, they really, really did. overall, I love everything about it except for probably the most important thing about it.
Yeah, it's
And
unfortunate.
yeah, and so it's rough. If you are somebody who watches it and says, "Man, I don't like it," I'm like, "Yeah, I can absolutely see why. I wholeheartedly can see why." I did enjoy it quite a bit. I was willing to get over it, get over myself and my opinion of acting. And I think that's the more important thing. I was willing to get over myself and just enjoy it for what it was.
Sure.
And it's way fun. I do recommend watching it if you can. If you dislike it, that's a valid opinion.
My wife and I have been on a bit of a Julia Roberts marathon right now, and by that I mean 2 movies because they're both on Hulu, and I'd never seen them. They're classics.
Hey, do you know what a marathon is?
It's where you watch 2 movies, right? Because I do a lot of marathons in life. It's where you watch 2 movies a week apart.
Yes, that happen to have the same actor.
Yeah. No. We watched Aaron Brockovich like
I've
2
never
weeks
seen
ago.
that.
It's a movie about a person who's down on their luck and gets hired as a file clerk basically at a local law firm, and then starts to learn about how there's this company. I forget what the company is. It's a real life thing. Aaron Brockovich is a real person, famous, like environmental, justice kind of person these days. And so learns about this company that's just kind of poisoning water, and it's about them trying to get justice. It's really good. I mean, there's Aaron Eckhart is in it. He's his most famous role is Harvey Dent from from Dark Knight, but he plays like cool gruff biker man with like a long like a ponytail and stuff, and it's just so funny. Like, it took me out of every single scene that he was in because this isn't Harvey Dent. But other than that, like, it's a very good, like, it's about the characters, it's about Aaron Brockovich as a person, and also there's this whole environmental law thing that's going on. It made me want to learn more about what she has done. Like, it felt like one of those where, it's kind of a way to tell people about these terrible things that these companies do. Maybe I should read about this. Oh, here's an article that says this company has continued to do these things. Interesting. Like, yeah, like 100%. Like, it just feels like it's a big budget way to get people to learn about environmental injustice, which I'm all for. Then we watched just a couple days ago Pretty Woman, which
I have seen that one.
Yeah. It's got its problems. It's definitely like, early 2000s, late 1990s. I don't know the exact year. It's definitely got a certain morality about it, where it's about a prostitute, but she's a good one. She's not one of those dirty, terrible ones you've heard of. She's the good one because she uses, things like where it's just like, it's trying to ride that line between like edgy story about a rich businessman who falls in love with a sex worker.
1990. I was like,
oh man, that's way earlier than I expected.
You were saying that, and I'm like, I thought it was early. Yeah, it's 1990.
I thought it was later than that. Anyway, and also trying to like, it feels like a movie where the trailer would come out and a lot of people would say, "What? You're trying to get me to watch this movie about this?" But so it's trying to like get you to think, "Oh, she's a good one. She's she's okay. She's not really in it for, she wants to be loved." And that's like, yeah, everybody does.
Yeah.
Anyway, the movie itself I had a hard time. There's an 18-year difference between Julia Roberts and Richard Gere, and it's like, he acts, it becomes part of the movie essentially, like a little bit of the plot toward the end, but he's very paternalistic in it, which feels a little strange.
Yeah.
Like, it feels it's a weird tone. And also it's funny to see like, I guess 1990 sense of like, this lady wearing these clothes walking down Rodeo Drive, she's getting all kinds of people looking at her, and it's like, it's 30 years later, nobody would care. Right. Nobody would care about what that, like, that's, so like, you have to remember, this is 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Certain sense of morality and fashion and all that. And so it's it's fine. I don't know.
Sort of a snapshot of a time.
Yes. It's very much a postcard from 1990, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I played the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth demo. It is pretty much, if you know Final Fantasy VII, it is the story of Crisis Core. So if you don't know, there is a moment in which Cloud and Sephiroth return to Cloud's hometown to deal with the problem there. And then some crazy things happen. And at the end, these aren't spoilers if you've played the original Final Fantasy VII, by the way. These are all things you know. And then in the end, Sephiroth pretty much burns his entire village down and kills everybody in it. And it's this huge massacre. It's the big,
not cool, bro.
yeah, the big thing that that everybody knows Sephiroth for when he goes crazy. And so, it's that story. It's about 90 minutes long. Going into it, man, we talked earlier. You asked me if I'm going to be playing Rebirth, and I said I don't know. Eventually, when I have money, I'll probably get it. But I'm also playing Baldur's Gate 3 right now, and that's going to take a long time to play. And all that. This demo is like, yes, I am. I'm playing this game as fast as possible.
You've been suckered in.
As soon as I get the money, because not only is it beautiful, not only is the combat just fun. The combat is so good in these games, but the nostalgia nods to the original one are so thick and so great. Even just a little way, like Cloud he's supposed to be 16 in this version or in this point in time, and he's like real peppy and whatnot. And so he's doing like these weird like swinging arm squat things because he's got so much energy.
Yeah.
And it looks silly and goofy in this real version, but it's because it was the way that with PS1 power and graphics, that's the way that they could communicate that he had a lot of energy. That's the best that they could do was bend his knees, bend his arms, and swing them. That we're going to just do movement to communicate energy.
Right.
And so they have him do that exact same movement in this, and it looks so goofy, but it's so funny because it's exactly this nod to the original. I'm thrilled for all of it, for everything. Give me all of it. I want to ride a dolphin. I want to... I want to do a mini game of CPR on somebody. I want everything from the original. I want to go to an arcade in the Golden Saucer and play basketball, arcade basketball. I want all of these things right now. I'm so thrilled. The demo has definitely hooked me. I'm excited.
All the reviews I've read about it basically have said, hey, if you didn't like these things, they didn't fix it.
Yep, it's the exact same. It's more
like,
of the same.
Thank you very much for telling me that. No thank you. I will wait. I am now basically just going to wait until they come out with, all 3 games for $30 or whatever, the whole trilogy and just to save my money and then play it.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen until they come out with all 3 and then bring out the 8K HD remaster of it. And then when they bring out the 8K HD remaster, then they'll release the first 3 in a bundle to get you hyped for it. That
sounds fine to me. There's plenty of other games to play. I'm not gonna wait.
Fact. That is a fact.
I didn't enjoy the first one. I don't think I'm not going to gamble.
Yeah. Oh, you won't. I can guarantee
I'll just
you
wait.
that. The first chunk of this, I think, is the least silly part of it. Like with the least weird side things going on. Are you going to try and fix a rocket to go into space? Not in the first one. In the other ones, you sure are. So, anyway.
Well, yeah, they got to destroy the meteor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I'm trying to think of something else that I've been playing Stardew Valley with my brother.
Oh yeah.
My brother, like 2 weeks ago, he's just like, man, I've never played it, and I thought it was a different game, and then I actually saw something about it, and it's this. And I was like, oh, I'm down. Let's play. Like, because I have spent a lot of time playing Stardew Valley in the past, but it's been a couple of years, and so we jumped into it. Playing co-op is like a better way to play it, where Stardew Valley is obviously an excellent game, 100% like just very well crafted, and it really rides that line between super casual, like chill game, but also it's like a time management sim. Like there's a puzzle element to it because every day you have a certain amount of time before, like you won't fail. There's no fail state, but you have a certain amount of time to do stuff. And when you get to X day, 2 a.m., then you just pass out. You'll wake up with less energy in the morning, and you'll either have to use resources to gain more energy, or you'll just have to be playing at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
So there's like some anxiety to it where you have to like, okay, what am I doing today? I have to plan my day from the start. And so it's fun to play.
It's funny
I'm
how
not saying that's
we're willing to do that in video games, but we won't do that to ourselves in real life.
oh, I do that a little bit, but no, it's fun to play co-op because we can do twice as much today. We're playing like where we share all the money we make, and so there's not like a distinct advantage in that. So we're not making, we still have to deal with our money in the same way, but it's you okay?
No, my dumb windscreen is the worst. I think I'm gonna garbage it and get a new one.
Well, luckily there's no wind in your office, so
It's wind for my voice. So
yeah, all that hot air
for
coming
my
out of you.
plosives.
So it's fun to play co-op because it just means that a lot of that anxiety of like, did I optimize, is reduced because you have two different people being able to do two completely different things at the same time. And so it's a really fun way to play, and I enjoy playing.
Nice. Into the Inklands, the new Lorcana trading card game set.
Did you get any of that, or
No, I haven't been able to. Oh wait, 4 boxes. I got a case
yeah,
of it.
you have a problem.
And no, I don't have a problem. Thank you very much.
I can quit anytime.
I can quit anytime. No, I saved up and I bought it, and I have almost made all my money back reselling cards. Plus, I have a ton of other cards to actually play the game with. So you're stupid. That's all I got.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point on that one. That is true.
So, no, Inklands came out. I opened a case of it, got some really, really good pulls. Overall, they've introduced a brand new mechanic of locations. So, where before you had characters and actions and items, now your characters can travel to locations and get different benefits of these locations or whatever else. And it has introduced an entire new element to the game that is way fun to practice and play with. I immediately built a deck in my head as I was opening, and I have begun to actually build that deck in real life. This is a game that, and it sold like crazy, at least in our store, sold like crazy.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
How quickly it went, which is great to know because the shortage of cards really made the game hit a heavy speed bump, and we were afraid for a moment that it just wasn't going to keep going. But this set has sold like hotcakes. So overall, though, it has been super duper fun. The game itself is just good. It's a good game. And the more that they tweak it as they come out with more sets, I know it's only been 3, but there's been no power creep. And it has just been fun to be able to put decks together, to play. I'm really enjoying it. Into the Inklands has a lot of really good stuff to it. And it's also fun because like there's a new thing with pirates. Pirates get benefits like on the Jolly Roger as a location, and pirates can travel there for free. Oh, cool. Well, Peter Pan's got a lot of pirates. Yeah, that's true. But also there's a Piglet pirate captain. And so you can have Piglet pirate go to your Jolly Roger ship, and the actual like in-game lore is so ridiculous and fun, and I enjoy it.
I can't wait till they do Universes Beyond in Lorcana and bring in magic characters.
That would be wild. All right,
well, that's all I've got.
That's all I got. Hey, thank you so much for listening, everybody. We love that you guys have been here with us and hanging out with us. We appreciate your support. We want to say a really big thank you to Granger for the use of our theme song, All My Friends Have Wi-Fi, and so do most of my neighbors, off of the album Dear Sam. Go check out Granger. They are a good band.
And hey, we love that you're here watching, but we'd also love it if you engaged in other ways. If you had the opportunity, join our Discord. If you're not aware, I think Steve mentioned it at the start, but the Nerdy Gritty, that's the name of this,
that's
is
what we're doing here.
a part of Save Point Ministries, in which we are seeing the state of community in the world and online and wanting to make it better by introducing actual physical community in the form of a church community, introducing internet community into that to bring you, if your community is mostly online, that's fine. That's great. We do think people benefit from having real life in-person relationships, and we think the church is a great place to make that happen. If you want to just be a part of that, jump on our Discord. It's not all Jesus talk, I promise. There's lots to talk about video games and movies and all
In
that
fact,
stuff
it's
too.
mostly video
It's
game
mostly
movie
that
talk.
stuff. Yeah, that's true. But also, if you have been curious about church or you've been hurt by a church in the past,
If you're
we
church
would
curious,
love to talk to you. If you are church curious, we would love to talk to you and talk to you about what that might mean for the future and what church is. And if you can support us in other ways, maybe if you sub to the Twitch, twitch.com/savepointmin.
my man.
Yes, got it right. I always forget that one. SavePointMin, go ahead and sub. Or if you want to jump to the SavePoint Ministries website and just support financially there. We also know that not everybody can do that. We completely understand. Just by being here, you're really supporting us, and we thank you for being a part of this.
Thank you again, everybody, and always remember that saved games save lives.
My voice sings all night, and this is what my heart sounds like. It's what my heart sounds like. It's what my heart sounds.
Oh, hey, welcome back. Fox had to go. His son woke up from his nap, so he had to take off. But we didn't have anybody in chat today, so we're just going to go ahead and say, hey, thanks for being here. We had a great time with you guys. All the same things from before. If you guys are looking for a church, the link's in the chat there. If you guys are want to join our Discord, the link's in the chat there. We love you guys. It has been an awesome time hanging out with you. We love that each and every one of you were here today, but always remember there's a church out there that would love it if you were there. We'll see you guys next time.